Hello, and thank you for joining us for part 14 of the Physics of Consciousness. There is no consciousness without goodness and correctness. We have already familiarized ourselves with the fact that the divine consciousness manifests perception and motion through elements, plants, and animals, whereas through the human, it completely perfects perception and movement in such actions where tools and technology are used. Through the experience of drama in action with all the content life places before us, human perception reaches its peak while discovering the meaning of existence. The human is always on a quest for the meaning of existence throughout all their incarnations. Where does it all end? Where does this search for meaning begin to yield results? Where does it finally unite with the original divine consciousness? This is all a manifestation of the divine consciousness itself. Nothing at all is possible outside of it. The only logical response is that it all happens within itself, and since it is the perfect good and right, the human finds the final meaning of all life and action in this world in the goodness and righteousness of their actions. Goodness and righteousness of one's actions are the most direct expression of the very divine consciousness in them. The basic characteristic of every form of action is that it is either proper and constructive, or it is faulty and inappropriate and destructive. In the way the functioning and working of human consciousness is expressed, it learns to unite itself with the original divine consciousness that enables overall existence. All the actions the human undertakes in this world are only their practical training in which their consciousness actively unites with the absolute consciousness, with the objective phenomena of the divine reality. It is not enough for the human to be aware of something in themselves. It is imperative that with their consciousness they are able to express themselves creatively and functionally, to participate in the events of the outside world, and to merge with them, the same way they have already done so within themselves. The human unites with the divine consciousness within themselves by becoming aware of the world of ideas objectively, which is only a part of the process. The other part is to express outwardly their understanding of consciousness itself, its essence, to express these ideas concretely through diligence and effort, and to materialize them. The physical universe automatically manifests itself through human consciousness of the soul. It serves as the mirror of divine self-knowledge. The time has come for us to understand this fact literally, when we wake up first thing in the morning, and to always act accordingly. The essence of functioning itself in every form of work lies in the aspiration to discover what is right by experiencing the consequences of one's efforts, and to learn to act properly and constructively. This is the way consciousness gets expressed through action. The more consciousness is present in action, the more actions are right and proper. Unconscious and conditioned actions are always destructive for the doer, or for the other parties involved. We learn both ways. Right actions raise the level of our awareness, and wrong ones teach us what things to not do, and how not to do them. All civilizations and cultures rests on the aspirations and to become aware of and ascertain such actions that are right, good, and constructive, in order to be able to live in harmony with existence. The divine consciousness that enables everything cannot be separated from correctedness and goodness in human behavior. The divine consciousness in itself is the source of existence itself, because it is the source of this very existence, and it manifests in humans as goodness and love, as correct and constructive actions that always and in every way support life in cognition. Everything contrary to this is an expression of human unconsciousness, the foundation of oppositions of right and wrong. Composes all human life dramas and all lives in general. Cohesion generated by these oppositions crystallizes objective awareness in humans. In the unconditional love of a human, all coercions and all plights that made consciousness manifest the way it did reach their finish line. in goodness, gentleness, and love. The divine world unites with itself and has no further claim on this world, no direct incentive for expressing itself. Love is an expression of the most supreme understanding of the meaning of divine reality in this world and in all worlds. Consciousness and artificial intelligence. There is an additional misconception regarding consciousness, and that is the issue of artificial intelligence. What in the modern world is understood by the term artificial intelligence is not the consciousness that is the subject of this book, which should have been clear by now. Artificial intelligence is a collection of all the information the mind uses that is based on language. There is a department in Google for language engineering where the meaning of all words in all languages gets collected. Artificial intelligence is created based on these. It still has not reached the level of perfection. Robots often respond in a racist or Nazi manner because their functioning is based on the meaning of language that has been mechanically gathered by Google's search engines and other social networks. It is estimated that by the year 2030, a critical mass of meanings of all words in all languages will be reached, and that this will set in motion the first real artificial intelligence. However, it is based only on the functioning of the mind and not on consciousness itself. The mind operates in terms of semantics. To what degree this dependency plays the deciding role is best illustrated by the example of hypnosis. The human is hypnotized using words. This is the ultimate goal of AI, mass hypnosis of people or total mind control. Their intentions are not honorable, nor is their constant concealment of the true nature of consciousness together with the human soul, nor their insisting that consciousness is something material, that it is of the body and placed somewhere within the body, that it is mainly composed of memory located somewhere in the brain, and that it can be downloaded onto a USB stick drive and transferred via computer to another body. Whether natural or artificial, we are constantly bombarded with such nonsense using films and media, but also education as well. Proof for this abuse can be found in the words of leading AI scientists today, who claim that people will reap unimaginable benefits. They will be improved. The old mind will no longer be required. Everyone will be logged on to the net through personal chips inserted in their heads, and they will be given all the required answers. People will no longer ask borrowing questions. Subsection 30. Their plans have been made public by Raymond Kurzweil, head of the Language Engineering Department in Google, in his interview for CNN, May 30, 2008. Those are all plans that are a part of the pressure and coercion exerted on human consciousness, and it is a well-known fact that all their plans rarely come off. Very few eventually do. The pressure is what serves the purpose of raising awareness in people, their awakening and liberation. Consciousness is best strengthened in this world through pressure and challenge, not inspiration only. People have never been more aware during the course of their entire history on this planet than they are today, when the pressure on people and manipulation with consciousness are at their highest point. Oddly enough, these same people will not be the owners of the computers and AI algorithms in question. These are all the ways in which to conceal the true nature of consciousness and the human soul. Only when we understand this will real AI be of enormous help to us as a perfect tool for our work, not enslavement. And with it, human labor will for the first time be truly human and maximally efficient. Without practical consciousness of one's soul, human work will never be like that. The essence of all the problems regarding artificial intelligence lies in the inability to understand the nature of consciousness itself. Understanding the nature of consciousness is directly linked to understanding the nature of existence and the true nature of human essence, the soul. When one is separated from the other, then neither is properly understood. Existence, consciousness, and soul are inseparable. Existence is none other than consciousness expressed as action, as a being where the soul is the most refined instigator of action. the intelligence that harmonizes consciousness and action through every form of individual beingness. Consciousness of the soul is the creator of all physical phenomena. It is not enough for existence as such to exist. It needs individual modifications in a variety of ways. Consciousness in the form of the human soul does that job. Consciousness always overcomes or transcends every form of existence, because every form of existence happens as a manifestation of consciousness. For the mind it is paradoxical, but consciousness and existence also are one, and their unity is best recognized from the perspective of the human's transcendental essence or soul. That is why the soul ascertains and understands the meaning of every form of existence. The proper understanding of existence is that it is the absolute consciousness itself. A proper understanding of the human essence or soul is that it is an individual emanation of the absolute consciousness. Since consciousness always transcends every form of existence, ultimately it can reveal the meaning of every form of existence. Consciousness of the human soul is independent of space and time, and of the physical body as well. It encompasses the past, present, and future, the near and far, the visible and invisible. It sees the purpose of everything owing to the scope it has based on its transcendental nature. In such a way, it enables empathy and feelings and an understanding of the context of events, context that cannot be detected physically, which is not present at the moment, one we are unable to see from our observation point, but which nonetheless exists when viewed from a higher dimension. Consciousness always takes a holistic approach to every form of existence. It sees every phenomenon in the context of the whole from all dimensions, and it never sees the whole as just a collection of the elements it is made of. Quite the reverse. Artificial intelligence is always based on the totality of elements it is made up of information that consists of binary codes. Binary codes are always composed of current shapes, of what is manifested here and now in time. That is why artificial intelligence can never be conscious. Artificial intelligence always manipulates phenomena in space and time, those consequences that are manifested in the element of Earth only. In a single dimension, it can never view phenomena independently of space and time, in the way consciousness of the soul can, nor can it be aware of the meaning and the wider context of it all. For example, artificial intelligence may ascertain an image or an object with all its technical details better than the human, but not the meaning of the image or the object in question, nor the history of their origin or the feeling the image was made with, nor what it testifies about its author or the history of some person in the picture, nor the way of the evolution of this object. A well-known case of testing artificial intelligence is the best illustration for this claim. When presented with the question of what the perfect model of economic growth is, it replies, slavery. It came to this obvious conclusion because the most well-developed global economy is that of the United States. The USA began their boom with slavery. Hence, slavery is the best model for economic growth. Spirit or an idea precedes any physical shape and experience. Theory precedes any experiment. Artificial intelligence can only have experience of the physical plane. It cannot see the big picture, nor can it realize that physical phenomena are mere consequences of the impact of consciousness from higher dimensions. If experience on the physical plane would be enough to use as evidence, the experience of what we see only, then magic tricks would serve as scientific proof. We cannot rely on physical experience only. The experiment is based on anticipation of experience, and in order for us to predict the entire process of the experiment, we must have consciousness from higher dimensions independent of space and time. Consciousness of higher dimensions is the consciousness of our soul. This consciousness is always connected with love, because love is the type of consciousness that connects what is unconnected to the mind. It connects an idea to being, consciousness, and existence. The truth is that the connectedness of consciousness and existence is not possible without love. Love makes sure the right bond between consciousness and existence is there. The proper awareness of existence. Ascertaining the full meaning of a certain phenomena is virtually impossible without putting it in the right context. Without empathy, without the emotional intelligence based on the transcendental nature of consciousness of the human soul that originates from higher dimensions, consciousness that entails all the higher dimensions is called the quantum mind. Artificial intelligence cannot have the quantum mind no matter how quantum mainstream science calls itself. That is the difference between artificial intelligence and consciousness. Since artificial intelligence cannot have the perspective from higher dimensions, which is the only one that can provide proper insight into the meaning of every phenomena in the lower dimensions, and provides the love that binds the human soul with action. AI inevitably acts against life and existence and against the human too. It will always imperfectly, logically deduce that the human is a direct threat because they very often deal with irrational matters, such as love, ideals, meaning, and the divine. He will send the Terminator to destroy it. Proclaiming AI to be conscious and competent enough to replace or upgrade human consciousness is a direct negotiation of the true nature of consciousness of the human soul, the existence of higher dimensions, and the true nature of existence. Love is the measure of conscious action wherever the human acts out of consciousness of their soul. They act with love. Love is their inspiration method and purpose of action. Dead binary codes of AI cannot breed anything alive, conscious, and loving. They can only generate a cutthroat struggle for survival. If AI prevails, we will be living in such a world in which love is not a sufficient reason for understanding, living, and functioning. Cannot make it. A tendency to survive at all costs without love inevitably ends in destruction. And that ends part 14 of the Physics of Consciousness, brought to you by Transcending Ascension. I hope you super like that. That was all done in one take, which is how I'm going to have to do it from now on. Time is limited, and as you can probably hear in the background, my son's watching Ghostbusters. He was coughing. The dog's chewing something. So I apologize for the background sounds, but editing them takes time to make them sound like they're professional audiobooks, which is what I do for the majority of them. But you got to go with what you want. And people are requesting that I finish the book because it's been taking me probably years now. And I'm getting requests to read all the books, which I did plan on doing, but they want them soon. And I aim to please, as I just want to bring people the important information, because honestly, like, my whole reason of Transcending Ascension and everything I do with my channel would be amazing if I blew up and I was doing TED Talks and teaching and all that stuff. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm a projector, so I don't have much energy, and I've come to terms with that. So a low-key life where I just help everyone awaken is just as pleasing for me as a mother of 3 that honestly just, like, loves being a mom. But at the same time, the projector in me cannot stop projecting out Ascension information. And I know what is inside one of us is inside all of us, which is why I love this book, The Divine Absolute. When you all awaken, when I can help you all awaken, it helps me awaken, because it's like a hack into the system to make it easier. So I'm very grateful for all those boomers that stuck with their hippie lifestyle and stayed teaching us. And even the rare Gen Xer that got into this, that paved the way, because I'm a millennial. There's lots of millennials that are waking up, and way more Gen Zs, and the alphas, which are my children, should all be close to awake, although there's quite the war on them, so we'll see. But either way, that's exactly another reason to fuel pushing Ascension so that they can be saved, and why I have a children's book. I don't know if I had it out the last time I made one of these, but A is for Ascension, the ABCs of Metaphysics. I put the link in the description below always. And again, that's just a project to awaken. It's a fantastic book. It's mostly poetry, but for kids. So it's written for kids. So, like, my daughter loves it, and it's not, she doesn't even like it because it's mine. She genuinely loves it. So that's a good testing. And I don't know, it's selling copies. So people are seeing it and liking it, because I noticed there's a big hole when I was just looking for my own children for information to help them, like metaphysical information. You could find Christian information. Honestly, you could find a ton of Mormon information, but finding, and there's Hindu information, but there's nothing metaphysical to bring forward. And then there's even the rare pagan book. You get the odd native indigenous book, which is, the native indigenous is probably the best to actually teach metaphysics, because they had the closest way of directly correlating. It's in a poetic way where you kind of have to see the deeper meaning, but it's planting seeds in the children, so that's still good seeds. Never underestimate the power of a seed. But I want something where they can directly know the truth. And I found nothing. So I made it myself. That's what you do. You find your place and you do it, because I know how to digitally design. And I know how to write, because writing is just something I've just always done naturally. So I made the ABCs of Metaphysics. It's going to be a whole series. The first book's A's for Ascension. The second book I've already written. I'm just working on the digital design part, which actually takes longer than the writing. And that is called The Tiny Superhero. It's just about a little boy that knows how to manifest, and just again to plant those seeds that you create your own reality, which that's what I love this book for, because it seems to best explain the science of why. And scientists, if you haven't heard this, scientists have discovered, not all of them, they're not all agreeing, of course, but it's out there, they published it, that they think, they're calling it a theory, but they think the electron, electrons, they don't think there's electrons. They think there's one. There's one electron. So the divine particle, they found the divine absolute, what this book calls it, the divine absolute. They're saying it comes down to an electron that just repeats itself over and over and over and over again. And their heads are kind of spinning, but they're kind of getting, in their scientific testing, that is the way of it. And that absolutely everything is made by one electron. And that's just it. That is it. That's the divine absolute. It is pouncing around through time. There's no time and space, so that's how it does this. And in every universe, in every dimension, it's making everything out of one tiny little speck. And that to me is just fantastic. And it just shows the deepest of deep truths of how and why we are all one, because we literally all are one. And that is just so fantastic. And when you know that, it's how you can learn to love darkness. And honestly, we need to love everything. Like he says, true consciousness is not conscious without love. So we love, and that means loving darkness, that means loving evil. That's why Carl Jung's fantastic, because it shows you the shadow aspects. I'm getting really into denial, not like I enjoy denial, I'm getting really into rooting it out. In the book I'm reading now, or actually I just finished it yesterday, although I'm going through it twice, is, what's it called? The Will, something about the will, sorry. It's the something with the will, and it's fantastic, because you absolutely need to find out these things. It had a beautiful creation story on it that I posted on my channel. I just took excerpts from another audiobook, because you just had to hear it. I just wanted you to hear it. Right Use of Will is what it's called. Right Use of Will. And the author's name starts CS. It's not actually on the cover I'm looking at. But anyways, the right use of will. There is an audiobook of it already made on YouTube that you can find. That's what I powered through, but then I'm also physically reading it, because there's magic that comes from physically reading stuff too. But at the same time, sometimes you want to hear information really fast. And that's what I love audiobooks for, because actually sitting down and reading, if you're any kind of a busy person, which most people are nowadays, it takes time, right? Which is why it takes me so long to get through making this. So hopefully you guys like that I didn't edit it. Let me know. I'm always open to suggestions. I am a projector, so feedback matters to me. Projectors, we don't make our own energy. We need to be invited, and we need recognition. So I used to be a person that was like, oh, blah, 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 very independent. But now I'm learning to just say my truth. And if it makes me look weak, I look weak, because that's just the truth of it. And I'd rather look weak but actually be stronger than trying to pretend I'm strong but actually be weaker. That's like why I can't even say that word right now. There you go. Looking humble as I can't say humility. But hopefully you enjoyed this. I do want to do all of them, and I really appreciate the interest in the book. I appreciate that I'm not the only one that knows about this book now, because it's just wonderful, and the author himself loves a quiet life and hides away. So I think that's so, honestly, like, I just want to say bad A of him, because that's just so cool. There's a better word. That's so cool that I wish I had that. Maybe he's a manifester or a generator, and he doesn't need that to be out there. I feel like I have to put my information out there. Like, I started my early spiritual learning for years and years and years and years, but it was the Course in Miracles that taught me you have to teach. And it just resonated so much, because I'd felt this urge to just tell everyone my information. And I started my channel about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was like, but who am I to teach? And it's like, but I am like I am somebody to teach though. And that's what you find as soon as you start teaching, especially as a projector. Like projectors are handed information from the divine. We are the ones that are routing the incoming information into the earth. And most people interested in this high level of spirituality find themselves as projectors. If you want to know, just there's lots of sites that do it, or you can write me. You just need to know your birthday, your time of birth. Although you can probably find out your type without the time, but you should have the time for all the details. So place, same as astrology, because it's using astrology, but it's using way more information. In fact, later today I do my episode. We don't do it live, but I do every Wednesday at 1:00. I film with Tog Rowan, a human design expert that actually took Ra's original class. So that is fantastic. She actually went to webinars with him. She didn't meet him in person, but she was at webinars with him, and she learned directly from his prodigy. So she was in like the original core of the school. She went to it in the early 2000s when it was just starting out. So that is the coolest, most original thing, because I myself have taken human design courses, but it gets so watered down and it's filtered out to so many different places, like where you're not learning from the original source. I still learn true information, but what she knows is just so much deeper and wiser. And plus she's been studying it for a lot longer, so she's fantastic. If you care about human design, I check those out. We call ourselves the Human Design Collaborative, and we put it up as a podcast, and it's on my YouTube, and it's on her Substack, and she's livingourhumandesign.com. If you ever want a human design expert, couldn't recommend her enough. But yeah, so thank you very, very much for tuning in, and I will talk to you all next time. Goodbye for now. Transcending Ascension.